Hello and welcome to Bharat News. I am Hriday Raval. Today we delve into India's evolving internal security landscape, covering key regions like PoK, the Northeast, and the challenges posed by shifting global dynamics. From cross-border tensions to internal insurgencies, there is much to discuss about how India can navigate these complex issues. To help us analyze the current situation, we are joined by Major General Sashi Asthana, retired, and esteemed International Strategic and Military Analyst. General Asthana has served in various capacities, including as Director of the United Service Institution of India and has a wealth of experience with UN organizations and as the former Director General of Infantry. He is also an accomplished author and a TV analyst, making him the perfect guest to shed light on India's security priorities. So not wasting much time, let's welcome Major General Sashi Asthana. Namaste sir, welcome to Bharat News.
Thank you. Pleasure speaking to you and your viewers.
Thank you so much sir. It's a pleasure that you are here with us and sharing your wisdom. So sir, today's topic is India's internal security. So before discussing it further, sir, can you let our audience know about the factors that affect the India's internal security and how will India cope up with this internal security?
See, India is a peculiar country in a manner that it is geostrategically so located that we have a large number of unstable neighbors. If you take all the countries around us, only China is stable. Bhutan maybe also can be called as stable. But other than that, all countries are facing instability in various forms. We know the case of Pakistan, we know the case of Bangladesh, you take the case of Myanmar again, also Nepal, no prime minister is serving for more than a year or something like that. Similarly, elsewhere, Maldives, we know the kind of instability which is going on. Now, all these instabilities do impact India because by and large, their borders are adjoining India, and what happens in these countries also impacts India. So therefore, to some extent, that is an external factor which impacts the internal security of India. Then there are internal factors. Now, what is the internal factor? India is the most populated country in the world. Also, India is the country which has maximum variations in terms of caste, creed, religion, traditions, languages. You name a kind of variation and it exists in India. So therefore, indirectly, India is also the most difficult country to govern in the entire world. So if you see these statistics, if you put together, it's not all that easy to keep all the segments of society all over the country happy at any point of time, irrespective of who the leaders are or which is the party in power, etc., etc. That's matter of politics. But then the fact is, it is the most difficult country to govern, and that leads to certain segments of society in various areas who do remain dissatisfied. On top of that, we are also a developing country. We are also a country where the distribution of wealth is uneven. Rich are very rich. We have some of the richest citizens in the world. We also have per capita income fairly low, and we also have the largest population below the poverty line because of the numbers, the size of the population. So, considering all this, India has certain problems in various issues and in various, let's say, corner of the country, and that gives rise to a lot of internal security problems as
well. Definitely, sir. So, sir, as we recently heard about the statement of our Honorable Defense Minister Rajnath Singh Ji during a rally, where he invites the PoK, the citizens of PoK to join India, and he says that he will take care of them. Also, as we see the memorandum of Pakistan, they say it as Azad Kashmir, and when they say it as Azad Kashmir, that is not a part of Pakistan, it is a free Kashmir. That's what it means. So, sir, How do you assess the current security situation in PoK, especially given Pakistan's internal turmoil? Is there any opportunity for India to leverage the situation to reinforce its territorial claims?
See, as far as PoK is concerned, it is integral part of India. There is no doubt about it,
Yes,
because Jammu and Kashmir acceded in full to India, and that is the instrument of accession. And the instrument of accession is the only legal document to decide the status of Jammu and Kashmir. So PoK, Gilgit Baltistan, Shaktikam Valley is part of India. That's one part. Uh, the line of control was so signed that PoK happens to be in occupation of Pakistan. Uh, but even if Pakistan calls it Azad Kashmir, they govern everything in PoK. And they govern it so badly that PoK is disgruntled. They are not only disgruntled because of the governance, they are also disgruntled because of the second citizen kind of treatment being given to them. They are also disgruntled by the fact that they are into poverty and they are into deprivation of every single facility, whereas the Kashmir on the other side of line of control, that is on the Indian side, is developing very fast and getting all the development indicators at the right places, and getting their needs also resolved. So that is also a kind of disgruntlement. Now, this disgruntlement has led to fair amount of protests, and therefore, the statement which was made by the defense minister, that falls into place to say that okay, they are they are Indians overall, because if PoK belongs to India, then they are also Indians, and also we have certain seats reserved for them in Parliament and also in Jammu and Kashmir Assembly.
yes,
Presuming that they will be there with India one day. Now, when that one day will come, that I will just explain. See, the issue is that for them to be part of India, the protests as well as the movement to do so has to be organic. It has to come from within. It cannot be seen as an intervention by India, because LC, line of control, is also a signed document by both sides. So a violation may not be very comfortable for the international community at this point of time. So violating LC to make them join India has got its own problems in many counts. The first problem is that shall I say, the external influence. The second problem is that PoK people by themselves have not got the kind of leadership which they should have. It's something like we had the problems in East Pakistan.
yes,
Then Mujibur Rahman came up as a big leader and he could galvanize the entire support. And then with India's help, they could get independence. In this particular case, if that model works, then it's easier for them to join India. If there is a leadership, it can galvanize all the support of PoK, all the disgruntlement of PoK, and they stand for themselves. Then it will be easier for India to help them out. But launching an offensive would be seen as a forcible capture of territory. Now, forcible capture of territory has implications in a manner that while we are looking at the development of the entire country, we don't want to get involved into sanctions by being branded as an invader. So when you get branded as an invader, you get involved into sanctions, and then perhaps your own growth story can take a different turn. So we have to balance out both. So I would argue that if PoK stands for itself, and if there is some strong leader who can galvanize the support, and or it becomes so intolerable for India that those guys are trying to force it themselves in, and there is too much of terrorism beyond our control and things like that, that can be another situation where the Indian army will have legitimate reasons to perhaps go forcefully to do such things. Till then, in my opinion, these will remain a political statements till the time PoK takes a call by itself. They have to take a call.
Definitely, sir. So, sir, as you stated Jammu and Kashmir in our PoK discussion, so let's talk about our heaven of India, Jammu and Kashmir. Sir, despite the approbation of Article 370 and efforts to integrate JNK into the Indian mainstream, sporadic incidents of militancy persist. What steps can the military take in coordination with the local authorities to further stabilize the region and reduce external interference?
See, if we look at this pattern of the proxy war and the terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, over a period, if we take a span of about 3 to 4 years, it has declined. Post abrogation of Article 370, it has declined considerably. There are not very many terrorists existing in Kashmir, and also about 70, 75 or something like that in Jammu as well. Now the problem is that all of a sudden we saw a sudden hike in Jammu terrorism in the Jammu region.
Yes.
So then there were many reasons for it. Of course, Pakistan is certainly not happy with the developments in Kashmir. Pakistan army certainly continues to play India threat narrative, that India is a threat and I am the only person who can, or I am the only organization who can save Pakistan. So all the levers of Pakistan power should be in my hand. Now that is their logic to convince their people, Pakistani people, why they are strong and why they call the shot on the political domain also.
Yes.
And they don't want to give away that cause. So therefore, Kashmir must remain troubled, because so long it remains troubled, they will find a reason to say that India can be a threat to us. The third reason was that parliamentary elections went off well, and we had also announced that we will have elections in Kashmir, and the process is already on. Now, if that be so, they will not like this process to be smooth, because if that goes smooth, then they will have no reason to say that there is a disgruntlement in Kashmir. Number one. Number two, India has been quite open. Even some of the separatists are also contending election. So if they take part in election, that means anybody and everybody who wants to govern Kashmir or who wants to be part of the governance structure has an option, provided people support him. So if irrespective of which government comes to power, the issue is that they are the ones who are supported by the people, and India is laying no obstruction as to whoever is supporting the people. It may be any party. Whoever is supported by the people, he governs. It's as simple as that. So that is the message which is uncomfortable to Pakistan. So therefore, Pakistan hiked up the proxy war. Now they knew that the security grid and the intelligence grid in Kashmir is very strong. So they thought that let's take a chance in Jammu. And they also felt that perhaps because of the commitments in LAC, that is on the China border, there were certain forces which had moved from Jammu. So they thought that there is a chance, and maybe the troop density is low. But I think by now, additional troops have been moved in, additional intelligence grid has been established, a lot of things have happened. So it will not be all that easy. Now, very recent past, I mean, we had about 3-4 months which were pretty bad for security forces.
Yes.
But after that, I think recently we are killing many more terrorists than the casualties of the Indian troops or Indian security forces. So apparently now things are getting back to shape, and I visualize that we will have a peaceful, very good elections. And I think after these elections, the landscape of Kashmir will change, and change for good.
Definitely, sir. So, sir, now let's move to northeast of India. We have seen from the past 16 months that the Manipur is burning. So, sir, with the recent ethnic violence in Manipur between the Kuki tribes and the Metis tribes and the growing insurgent movements in the northeastern states, what are the critical security challenges in maintaining peace and stability in the region? How effective has the AFSPA been in controlling insurgency? Or, sir, what the steps the government is lacking in controlling this situation?
See, the problem of Manipur is quite complex. And let me explain the problem, because then only one will be able to understand as to why it is so critical in resolving that problem. See, the criticality is that it is not only a security problem, it is also a social problem, it is also a tribal problem, and it is also a political problem.
Yes.
Now, the component of these problems are something like that there are two tribes. You can say Meeti is one tribe who stay in plains. Then you have Kuki tribes and other tribal Zos. They all stay in mountains in the nearby area, although they, by and large, the population is equally mixed, reasonably mixed. But the apprehension of the cookies is that Meetis are better placed, they are in better positions in the government, and they are better placed as far as trade is concerned, and they have a better land, and therefore they have a disgruntlement that we are not being fairly treated. At the same time, cookies have a disgruntlement. Meetis have a disgruntlement. Meetis, which I just talked about, that cookies were also doing fair amount of extortion, but the Indian government chose to sign a suspension of operations agreement with the Kuki tribes. So with the result, cookies still continue to do extortion and nobody catches them, whereas Meeti groups, when they do extortion, then everybody is catching them. So that is their disgruntlement. So this is as far as the security is concerned. Now to take the case of tribals. Now the Kuki tribals and the other tribals of Manipur, they have long tribal linkages with people in Myanmar. These linkages are more than 800 years old. The age of India is just about 78 years old, something like that. So 17, 8 years are not good enough to break the linkages of 800 years. Now, all of a sudden, when you say that, okay, and they are living in jungles, they feel that this jungle property is their property and it has got nothing to do with government of India. And it was so when the British were there, because during British time, British made an inner line permit and they told them, you govern yourself, because they found it too difficult to govern. Now these people feel that this idea of fencing the border, that doesn't suit them. That because they've got brothers and kiths and kins both sides of the border.
Yes.
So they are not too happy about it. So there is an element of discontentment. Then what happens is, you have a chief minister who is Meeti. Obviously, if chief minister is Meeti, then cookies will not be happy. So that there adds the political problem. Then comes the allegations and counter allegations. Cookies would feel that chief minister is biased and the security forces, the enrollment is biased, and the police officers who are some of them are Meetis, they are also acting in a biased manner, and vice versa. So if there are Kuki officials, they are also being alleged, the Meetis alleged that they are also acting in a biased manner. So there is a problem of bias. So this divide is a complex divide. Now, what can security forces do? Security forces can only bring down the level of violence. And they have done so at least 10 to 15 times in past. Yes. But unfortunately, the politics takes over thereafter. And all kinds of other interests take over. Now, so that is where the situation becomes complex. Now, as far as government of India is concerned, now they have made a commission of inquiry under a chief justice. Most of the people who are doing this inquiry are bureaucrats. Now, let me be very frank. Bureaucrats who do not have the foot on ground, they don't understand very much. I am from Assam regiment. I have served with these troops. I have served with Kukis and Meetis. They have been all my troops. And I can tell you with 100% confidence that when they fight in war, Meetis are dying for cookies and cookies are dying for Meetis. So much is the bonhomie when it comes to our regiment. But when it comes to situation there, politics takes over. And therefore they get divided and then they are ready to kill each other. So this is the kind of complexity we have. Now, your basic question is, what can be done now? Obviously, we have to bring down the level of violence, which will be done. The unified command has been established, and that unified command, of course, there is a little bit of politics there that it should report to the state government said it should report to us. But then when all these agencies were under you, under state government, if you couldn't control them, then how will you control them now? So the question is, so that's why perhaps they are still reporting. So they are under the central government in some manner or the other. Similarly, putting central forces under state government, that also doesn't gel. Assam Rifle will not like to be seen as party to a particular party, which is at least to be biased. So there are certain complications there as well. But notwithstanding that, I have full confidence that the security forces of India will make sure that the violence level comes down, which will come down. And thereafter, I think the politicians and the government, they have to take a call. And they have to build on the peace so generated. Unfortunately, a number of times the peace was generated by the security forces, but thereafter, it could not hold on.
Yes, sir.
So that's my take on that.
So, sir, we have also seen presidential rule in Manipur several times. So, sir, do you think that if presidential rule comes again, then the situation will be normal? Or will the current situation, the current politics or the delegates will be able to handle it now?
See, what happens is, as far as the president's rule is concerned, these are temporary measures. Because we are a democracy, we would like to be governed by this elected government. It's for the people, by the people, and of the people, the government of the people. That is what democracy is all about. So, while the presidential form of government or the president rule is advisable for short duration to bring the violence level under control, but it's not good for long term. And as I would see the situation, that I don't think the situation is as bad that it demands the presidential rule as of now.
Okay.
As far as your last point, which you had asked regarding Armed Forces Special Power Act, see, these are the acts only. Nothing changes. The security forces do act with discipline and with all kinds of the SOPs in place. This act is only to make sure that the central government cannot charge and take legal actions against the central government forces individually or without the sanction of central government. In other words, let's say I have, there was a, let's say hypothetically, a terror group which was killing a particular segment of society, and I have gone and I have fired on them. Now that terror group, obviously, their kiths and kins will go and lodge a complaint against me. Yeah. Now, if the state government has a power and state government is biased, they will issue an arrest order against the officer who did it, or against the JCO who did it, or against the troops who did it. Now, if that happens, then why should that person act? He will say, okay, let the state burn. Why should I fire? Because tomorrow there will be a legal action against me. So if you have to make sure that he remains effective, then you have to give him some kind of immunity in a manner that nothing changes. If he is wrong, then he is wrong, and action will be taken. But the only restriction which this act gives is that the central government, the state government has to take permission of central government to charge that officer. So therefore, that means he cannot be charged till the time central government approves it. So that means then there is a level of check involved on the state government which cannot act under a bias. So which is a fair one. So as far as army is concerned, or armed forces are concerned, they are least interested. You declare everything as peaceful. Don't call us. Don't have a armed forces special power act. We are absolutely happy. But the problem is that you want to call us. You want us to kill the guys who are killing others, and at the same time you don't want to give us a protection also. Now that is unfair. So that's
Yeah.
how now you see in Tripura things are under control. There is no armed forces special power act. In Meghalaya things are under control. It's not there. So defense forces are not very much interested in that. The only thing is that when the things are bad and when you want to take hard actions, then obviously you have to protect the guy who is acting on your behalf. After all,
Definitely.
the army doesn't have any animosity with anybody in Manipur or anywhere or in Kashmir. It
Yes.
is the duty. The government has given us a duty, and we are just doing the duty. That's about all. Okay, back to you.
Definitely. And sir, do you see any external factor? I will say that, do you see that China is backing the miscreants in the Manipur to do the notorious activities there?
See, you cannot rule out a Chinese angle as well, and you cannot rule out some other angles also. The reason is that the kind of weaponry which has been recently found there, in terms of drones, in terms of rockets, the kind of advanced rockets they have been using, that is not an indigenous weapon. So obviously, these weapons have come from somewhere.
Yes.
Now, where can they come from? Uh, the A number of them, most of the weapons are either Chinese, or there are some M16 rifles, that is the American weapons also, which have been found there. Now, if you have to track these two, the answer is both sides will say these weapons are freely available in the market. Anybody can buy it. So they have also bought it. I mean, we don't know. So there is an element of deniability.
Okay.
The converse is that as far as China is concerned, earlier they were siding military junta. But now the militant groups there have also become powerful and are controlling 60% of Myanmar. So Chinese, because they have invested a lot of money in Myanmar, so they are keeping both sides happy. So they are also actually helping out these terror groups as well, and also talking to military junta. So they are keeping both sides open. So in that context, they may have given something. You can't rule it out.
Understood.
Similarly, we know that there is a Cold War 2.0 between China and USA. Now,
Yes.
if USA finds that entire Myanmar is becoming hostage to China, then they may also play some trick and give out certain weapons to these people. CIA has done in so many places, in so many other places in the world. There is no reason why they can't do it here. But then all these are conjectures and speculations. There is no direct evidence to allege any of them which has come to light. And the element of deniability is quite strong in these cases.
Okay, sir. Sir, as we seen recently, that whole of the Bangladesh was on fire. The then Prime Minister Hasina also fled to India. Sir, how do you see the current security situation along the Bangladesh border, particularly with illegal migration, human trafficking, and the smuggling of contraband? What role should the Indian Army and other security agencies play in managing this dynamic?
See, whatever happened in Bangladesh is quite unfortunate in a manner that the government, which is presently in power, is being appointed by students with the support of army and has not fought any election, so therefore it does not have any democratic legitimacy. So somebody felt that they should be the government, so that is why they are the government. Similarly, we find that all the radical Islamist elements who were in jail have been freed. The Islamist ideologies are taking, shall I say, control there. There has been a lot of attacks on the minorities, and therefore, which includes Hindus, and therefore, people trying to flee from Bangladesh is there is very strong chances of that. And if they have to flee, where do they go? Obviously, they will head towards India only. So therefore, this is posing a internal security challenge for us. and we have to be more vigilant on the border, which perhaps, which I'm sure the BSF is doing their job, because they do not allow anybody to get inside. That's one part of it. Secondly, we are also raising up issues with Bangladesh, the current government, because we have to work with the government of the day,
Yeah.
that they have to protect the minorities there. And I think the unfortunate problem is that the present leader in Bangladesh, he is in no control of all these elements, because if he himself has been installed by them, how can he control them? So apparently, what is happening is you find all the Awami League uh, people being targeted. You also find one fine day the crowd goes to Chief Justice and all the judges resign. Then next day they go to some other institution and they also resign. The third day you find that it's not only Hindus. Yesterday news was that all the Sufi uh, installations, they are also being targeted and vandalized. So now this guy doesn't know what to do. Similarly, then the Islamist elements, all of a sudden you find that the entire uh, social media is filled with Urdu instead of Bengali. So they find that there is a fair amount of encroachment of Urdu language in Bangladesh. So basically, Bangladesh is actually moving towards Pakistanization. Uh, so this is something which is happening in Bangladesh. Now, under those circumstances, there is no doubt that we have to be vigilant on the borders. A border which we thought is peaceful under Sheikh Hasina, may not remain peaceful and may also pose internal security challenges in terms of infiltration. The drug trafficking had been on, it had been on earlier as well, and that, of course, we will have to take control of it. I'm sure BSF will make sure that it is under control. The sensitization is there in the Indian establishment, and that is why you will find that despite all this chaos, nothing very much happened on Bangladesh border, which is of significance. Because I think Indian security forces were very well alerted, and they are on the alert. So we have not seen very untoward incidents happening, except maybe one odd guy getting killed or something like that, because of in an attempt to be crossing forcefully or something like that. But other than that, nothing very much has happened. So yes,
Okay.
it is a new challenge. The other part of the challenge is that certain insurgent groups of Northeast may get some shelter there, may get some support there. So these are the things which perhaps may be a little awkward for us.
Definitely, sir. Sir, now let's talk about the internal terrorism. Sir, what is your perspective on the threat posed by internal terror groups like Maoist or Naxals or the Islamist terrorist groups? Has the of militarization and socio-economic development been successful in containing these movements?
See, there is no doubt that the issues with the Naxals and the Red Corridor, these issues are more of governance issues and law and order issues. If we have inclusive growth there, these incidents are going to die down. And as we see what happened in Dantawada long back,
Okay.
that is not getting repeated now to a great extent, and things are fairly under control. But as we go along and as the inclusive growth takes place of these areas, this disgruntlement will go down. That is what we visualize. Also, you would have seen that none of the army has not been involved ever with these with this kind of shall I say internal security issues, for very simple reason, because we found that these are governance issues and which army should not be involved. Secondly, we also find that, but in the capacity building, army was involved in a manner of the training the CRPF personals who have to fight active insurgency. So we did give a lot of support there. At the same time, the CRPF has also improved its capability. in working out the appropriate responses. The state police is also improving the responses, and at the same time, the cause is also diminishing because
Yes.
the cause was that it was a deprivation. The segment was deprived, they were not being heard. And unlike some of the other minorities who have very strong leaders who represent them in the center or elsewhere, these Naxals did not had a very strong leadership to represent themselves, and that is why they took to guns. So the cause of insurgency in this case is slightly different than the other causes, which are on the borders, because there it may be a proxy war. In this case, it may not be a proxy war. It's not a proxy war. It's a internal organic kind of disgruntlement where people have picked up arms in some cases. So I do not visualize that that could become a very big challenge. I think the worst is behind us now, and we are on a curve where the inclusive growth is improving, and perhaps this challenge will be much better off as we go along.
Definitely, sir. So, sir, as we have seen that Israel is burning on, Russia is, Ukraine is burning on, and there are many several factors in the world that affects the Indian internal security. If we discuss about that, then it will take very long. But sir, can you describe in just one brief that are these external factors and how far these external factors affect India internal security?
See, nowadays the external factors uh, do affect India because of the penetration of the social media and the penetration of the information flow which comes. So if there is a factor of let's say whatever is happening to Palestine, uh, the similar ideology or some people getting affected by that is possible. But by and large, what I have seen is whether it is Russia-Ukraine war, I don't think we have been affected as far as the internal security is concerned. We are affected because of
Yes,
economy, because the whole world's economy is going down, and we also have our share in the world economy, and therefore we also get impacted adversely. We
yes,
also get impacted in trade, but internal security wise, we have not seen too much of impact. Similarly, at times, certain as far as the internal the IS groups is concerned, that ISIS, considering that we are the second largest Muslim country in the world, I mean, country having a Muslim
yes,
population in the world, the our share in ISIS or ISIL or ISKP has been fairly low. So, considering that, I would put it this way that uh, the uh, the Muslims in India, they are quite patriotic relatively, and they have not bought this argument very much, and they are reasonably happy in India because if you see, uh, while there has been persecution of other minorities in the other Muslim countries, as far as India is concerned, nobody has left India because he has been persecuted to any other country. So all Muslims in India have remained in India. Nobody has gone out because everybody feels that, and the numbers of the minorities is increasing much more than the majority community in India.
yes,
Whereas in all other countries around us, the number of minorities are decreasing. So
yes,
that gives the confidence of the security credentials as secular credentials of India. So that way, external factors uh, of the Russia-Ukraine war or Israel-Hamas war have not touched us much, but the external factors which are on the periphery, whether it is Bangladesh or Pakistan, they have certainly affected us, and they continue to affect us,
definitely.
and Myanmar, of course.
And
So
yes,
that is where perhaps the external factors have affected our internal security.
definitely, sir. Sir, as you clearly mentioned, that our internal security challenges are very complex due to the unstable countries or the neighbors around us. So, sir, because of it, the defense budgetation and modernization is very important. Sir, given India's complex security challenges, Do you believe the current defense budget and modernization plans are adequate to address both internal and external threats? What areas need more attention to ensure preparedness?
See, we certainly need more defense budget. 2% of GDP is not good enough. Uh, the It should go to 2.5% at least, if not 3%, because uh, the uh, the geopolitical situation is such now that you require a manpower intensive army and a manpower intensive defense forces, in addition to the technological upgrade. So both are required. Technological upgrade is also required, and so is the modern weaponry, and so is the manpower. Why manpower, I say? Because you see, in the line of actual control, again, the LOCization has taken place. You have to physically have more people there. If you have to have more troop density in Jammu, if you have to have more troop density on Bangladesh border, if you have to have more troop density in Myanmar border, then you need human beings, you need trained manpower. So for those trained manpower, obviously there is a cost, and that cost has to be met. So to remain secure is not easy. It's not without money. The money has to be spent to remain secure. So I think the country will have to take a call and will have to increase the defense budget to make sure that the defense forces have the capabilities to handle whatever is being given to them, and whatever responsibilities are being given to them. For that, certainly we require. Uh, so therefore, although there are a lot of debates to cut down the revenue expenditure, and capital expenditure, everybody is looking at the modernization. But then the fact is that you require, if you have more people, you need more people. So you need more revenue budget as well, and therefore you need more money.
Yes.
As far as the modernization is concerned, I am not against modernization, but I can certainly quote that if America, with all the modern weapons and all the modern technologies, if they can get defeated in Afghanistan and they can get defeated in Vietnam, that means the modernization by itself cannot win wars. So you require human beings to win war. It's the man behind the gun who matters. So you require more manpower, and that manpower certainly is necessary, and has to be financially supported. So we require more defense budget.
Definitely, sir. And sir, despite of this low budget also, we are proud that the Indian Army has been sufficient and is well trained enough that we aren't going to lose any war, and we are proud of it. So, sir, can you just summarize the whole context of the India's internal security in just one or few lines so that our people and our audience can understand about India's internal security, whatever we discussed right now? And, sir, can you give just one statement how strong India's internal security is now?
See, India's internal as well as external security is well within control, and very strong. It is a whole of nations approach. It requires a whole of nations approach to handle external as well as internal security. Gone are the days when only militaries and security forces were in charge, or were required to fight the internal security or the external security. Today, the whole comprehensive national power is required, which is in terms of economy, which is in terms of diplomacy, which is in terms of politics, which is in terms of information war, media war, cyber war, and all other things. So all resources have to be put together and synergized to fight the external and internal security challenges. Also, there is a very important role of the society in internal security, because without people support, no insurgent can survive. And therefore, if people decide that the insurgent is not to be supported, or the terrorist is not to be supported, it makes the job of the security forces much more stronger, much more easier to control that situation. I think we require a whole of countries approach, whole of nation approach to handle the internal security. And I'm sure the country also uh, has responded to such challenges in past, and will continue to respond to such challenges in future as well.
Definitely, sir. So, sir, thank you for your time. We have learned a lot from you, and we wish that you share your wisdom with us again and again. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Jai
Thank
Hind.
you. Thank you. Pleasure talking to you and your viewers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.